There comes a moment in life when you have to stop letting the world dictate how you feel. When you wake up every morning already carrying the weight of what others think of you, say about you, or expect from you, that's not living. That's surviving in someone else's story. The truth is, the moment you allow others to control your emotions, you give away your power. And when you give away your power, you lose control over your peace. People will always have opinions. They'll always project their insecurities, their fears, and their frustrations onto you. But here's the shift: their energy only affects you if you open the door and let it in. Calm is not a sign of weakness. It's a sign that you're finally choosing yourself over the noise. It's a declaration that your emotions are your responsibility, not someone else's playground. Think about it. When someone tries to push your buttons, they're not doing it because they control you, they're doing it because they want a reaction. Your reaction gives them power. Your silence keeps your power. When you choose not to react, when you choose to remain calm, you build an inner fortress no one can break. Every time you let someone trigger your emotions, you hand them the remote control of your mind. But the moment you say no more, everything shifts. You're no longer reacting, you're responding. You're no longer controlled, you're leading. Real power isn't loud. Real power is calm, steady, unshaken, and rooted in self-respect. Remember this: people can influence you, but they can only control you if you let them. If someone disrespects you, stay calm. If someone doubts you, stay calm. If someone tries to pull you into their chaos, stay calm. Because your calmness frustrates every person who thrives on drama. And your silence is louder than any argument they try to win. You teach people how to treat you by the boundaries you set. When you stop accepting disrespect, you raise your value. When you stop seeking validation, you build self-worth. And when you stop letting emotions be dictated by others, you become unshakable. True freedom is not found in controlling everything around you. It's found in mastering yourself. Calm isn't about pretending things don't bother you. It's about choosing peace over chaos, strength over reaction, and clarity over noise. So from this moment on, don't give away your power so easily. Don't let someone else's bad day turn into your storm. Breathe, pause, respond, own your emotions, own your peace. Because the calmest person in the room is always the most powerful one. When you allow others to control your emotions, you hand them the steering wheel of your life. You give them the power to dictate how your day unfolds, how your mind feels, and how your heart responds. Every word they say, every action they take starts to influence the direction of your thoughts and the tone of your emotions. You may not realize it at first, but slowly, piece by piece, your peace no longer belongs to you. It becomes tied to their approval, their behavior, and their mood. When they're kind, you feel good. When they're distant, you feel anxious. When they're critical, you feel small. That is not freedom. That is silent control. The truth is, no one can control your emotions without your permission. They may try to push your buttons, but those buttons only work if you hand them the remote. Emotional power is something you own the moment you decide not to let external voices shape your inner world. The moment you start depending on others for how you feel, you begin to live reactively instead of intentionally. Life starts moving not in the direction of your choices, but in the direction of their actions. That's how emotional control slowly slips away from you. When you give someone else the steering wheel of your emotions, they decide when to speed, when to brake, and when to turn. You become a passenger in your own life. That's why emotional boundaries are not selfish, they are essential. They remind you that your emotions belong to you. No one should have the authority to dictate when you feel worthy, happy, calm, or broken. Your peace should not depend on how someone else chooses to behave. People will always express opinions, judgments, or criticism. You cannot stop that. But what you can control is how much weight you give those words. The moment you decide that their tone will not define your worth, you begin to reclaim your power. You begin to drive again. You start making choices not from a place of emotional reaction, but from a place of strength and clarity. Emotional control isn't about ignoring how others make you feel. It's about choosing not to hand them ownership of those feelings. It's the power to say, I see what you're trying to do, but I choose peace over reaction. It's the quiet decision to build a solid inner world that remains steady even when the outer world shakes. When someone tries to provoke you and fails, it's not because they didn't try hard enough, it's because you finally took the wheel back. You can't stop people from acting how they want, but you can stop them from deciding how you feel. Your emotions are yours to protect, yours to shape, and yours to strengthen. When you choose to keep your hands on the steering wheel of your emotions, no one can drive your life except you. Calm isn't weakness, it's quiet strength. It's the power that doesn't need to shout to be heard, doesn't need to fight to prove its worth, and doesn't need to react to every storm that tries to shake it. Calm is not the absence of emotion, it's the mastery of it. It's the ability to hold your ground when everything around you is trying to pull you into chaos. Many people misunderstand calmness as passivity, but calm is far from passive. Calm is intentional, controlled, and deeply rooted in self-awareness. When the world is loud, when people try to provoke a reaction, when situations push your buttons, it's easy to explode. Anger is loud, frustration is loud, fear is loud. but calm speaks in silence, and that silence carries more weight than any raised voice. It's a steady energy that commands respect without demanding it. Calm is not about pretending nothing affects you. It's about deciding that nothing will control you. It's the quiet voice that says, "I will not be moved." In moments of pressure, calm is the strongest weapon you can carry. It doesn't mean you don't feel the storm. It means you choose to be the anchor in it. Calm people see things clearly when others are blinded by emotion. Calm minds find solutions while others are trapped in reaction. Calm hearts remain unshaken not because the storm is weak, but because their foundation is strong. That strength is not visible in fists or loud words. It's visible in unwavering presence. Calmness makes people uncomfortable not because it's weak, but because it cannot be controlled. When someone tries to provoke you and you remain centered, they lose their grip. When chaos surrounds you but you don't let it enter your mind, you keep your power. This is why calm is strength. It's a shield, not a surrender. It protects your energy, your peace, and your clarity. In a world where everyone is rushing to react, the calm one stands out. They are not easily manipulated, not easily broken, and not easily swayed. Calm people understand that reaction gives away control, but response takes control back. They choose patience when it would be easier to lash out. They choose silence when the noise tries to pull them in. They choose to rise above what doesn't deserve their energy. Calm is built through discipline, not luck. It's trained through moments of discomfort, through choosing peace again and again until it becomes a part of who you are. Calm isn't soft, it's steady. It's the kind of strength that doesn't show off, but it holds everything together when everything else starts falling apart. It's the strength that leads without dominating, that protects without shouting, and that wins without fighting. People can influence, but they can only control you if you let them. Influence is a part of life. Every conversation, every interaction, every environment carries energy that can affect how you think and feel. But control is different. Control is not given, it's allowed. It only happens when you hand over your power, your emotions, and your decisions to someone else. People may try to push their beliefs on you, shape your choices, or direct your path, but none of it holds real power unless you accept it. Influence can inspire you, teach you, challenge you, or even trigger you, but it's your reaction that determines whether that influence becomes control. When you know who you are and what you stand for, no one can dictate your direction. But when you doubt your worth, when you depend on others to validate your choices, their influence starts to grow roots inside your mind. Slowly, it shifts from a passing suggestion to a silent command. And that is where the line between influence and control begins to blur. Every time you allow someone else's opinion to weigh more than your own voice, you give away a piece of your power. When their criticism makes you question your path, when their expectations make you shrink your dreams, when their approval becomes your source of confidence, you give them the keys to your inner world. People can talk judge or try to shape you, but control only happens when you decide their words matter more than your truth. Taking back control means drawing a clear boundary between what people say and what you choose to believe. You can listen without absorbing. You can understand without agreeing. You can respect someone's perspective without making it your reality. Influence will always be present because human beings are connected. But control ends the moment you decide that your voice matters more than the noise around you. Strong people are not immune to influence. They simply know where to stop it. They know when a suggestion is useful and when it's manipulation. They know when to adjust and when to stand firm. They understand that their decisions shape their life, not someone else's expectations. Control isn't taken from you by force, it's surrendered through silence, through doubt, and through fear of disappointing others. When you choose to stand in your own power, people can no longer dictate how you live or who you become. They can inspire, but they can't control. They can advise, but they can't decide. They can pressure, but they can't break you unless you bend. Your life is yours to direct, and your emotions are yours to protect. Influence is external, but control is internal. No one can own your choices unless you give them permission. Not reacting is often the most powerful reaction. It's the choice to rise above what doesn't deserve your energy. It's the quiet strength of understanding that not every battle is worth fighting, not every insult needs a response, and not every situation deserves your emotional investment. When someone tries to provoke you, their power lies in your reaction. The moment you react emotionally, you give them control over your peace. But when you choose silence, when you choose stillness, you take that power back without even lifting a finger. People often confuse silence with weakness, but silence is a strategy. It's the calm space between chaos and clarity. It's the moment where you show that your emotions belong to you, not to the situation or the person trying to stir them. When someone pushes you to react, they're not always seeking truth. Many times they're seeking control. They want to see you shaken. They want to know they can affect your state of mind. Not reacting becomes a statement that says, "You don't get to control me." Reacting in the heat of the moment can make you say or do things that don't align with your strength. But when you pause, when you don't react impulsively, you give yourself the space to stay in control. In that space, clarity grows. You see the situation for what it is, not what your emotions are trying to make it. You hold your ground, and that quiet confidence often speaks louder than any loud reaction could. Silence disarms people who thrive on drama. It frustrates those who want to see you lose control. When you don't react, you rob them of the reaction they came for. They have nothing to feed on, nothing to twist, nothing to use against you. Your calm becomes your shield, and your silence becomes your power. In a world where everyone is quick to argue, quick to respond, and quick to defend, the one who remains centered is always the strongest. Not reacting doesn't mean you're ignoring the problem. It means you're choosing to respond on your terms, not on someone else's timeline. It means your peace is more valuable than your need to be right. It means your energy is too precious to be wasted on every provocation. The ability to stay silent in the middle of noise is not easy. It takes discipline, self-awareness, and a deep understanding of your worth. But once you master it, it changes everything. Not reacting allows the storm to pass without pulling you into it. It keeps your power in your hands, not scattered in someone else's. It reminds the world that your calm is not a weakness to be broken, but a wall that cannot be shaken. It's not about winning arguments, it's about protecting your energy and staying rooted in your strength. You teach people how to treat you by what you allow, what you stop, and what you reinforce. Every interaction sends a message about what is acceptable and what is not. Whether you realize it or not, you are constantly setting standards through your reactions, your boundaries, and your silence. When you allow disrespect to go unchecked, it communicates that this behavior is something you will tolerate. When you stay silent in moments you should speak up, it creates permission for that behavior to continue. And when you reinforce positive treatment, it shows others the standard they must meet if they want to stay in your space. People observe how you respond more than they listen to what you say. Your boundaries are not just rules, they are a reflection of your self-respect. When someone crosses a line and you let it slide to avoid conflict, they learn that your lines are flexible. When someone speaks to you with kindness and you show appreciation, they learn that respect is the language you value. The way you respond in those small, quiet moments teaches people how close they can get, how they can speak to you, and how they can treat your worth. Allowing certain behaviors doesn't always come from weakness. Sometimes it comes from wanting to keep the peace, from fear of confrontation, or from hoping people will change on their own. But the truth is, people rarely change what benefits them. If you don't stop it, it continues. If you don't name it, it grows. If you don't draw the line, they'll assume there isn't one. Your silence becomes their green light. That's why knowing what to stop is just as powerful as knowing what to allow. Boundaries are not walls, they are instructions. They teach others how to handle your presence, your energy, and your value. When you clearly stop what disrespects your peace, you protect your self-worth. When you no longer accept behavior that drains you, people either rise to meet your standard or remove themselves. Either outcome is a win because your energy remains guarded and respected. But boundaries alone are not enough. Reinforcement matters just as much. When people treat you with kindness, respect, and honesty, and you acknowledge it, you build a cycle of healthy interaction. People start to associate being around you with accountability and respect. They learn that they can't walk over you, but they can walk with you. They learn that respect is not optional in your presence. You are not just a participant in how people treat you, you are a teacher. Every reaction is a lesson. Every boundary is a message. Every silence, every response, every limit teaches them how to approach you. You may not control how others behave, but you control what behavior you allow to stay. You define your standard not through what you say, but through what you tolerate, stop, and reward. True freedom begins the moment you stop needing others to validate your worth. As long as your value depends on someone else's approval, your peace will always be in their hands. When you let the opinions of others determine how you see yourself, you build your identity on shaky ground. One compliment lifts you, one criticism breaks you, and your confidence rises and falls like a tide you can't control. But the moment you decide that your worth is not up for negotiation, something powerful happens. You take back the authority over your self-image. You stop chasing validation and start owning your value. Seeking validation is often subtle. It hides behind wanting to be liked, needing reassurance, or waiting for others to say you're enough. But the truth is, no amount of praise will ever be enough if you don't believe in your own worth. External validation is temporary and fades the moment the applause stops. Real confidence comes from an internal foundation that isn't shaken by someone else's opinion. When your worth is anchored within you, criticism doesn't break you, praise doesn't define you. You move through the world not trying to prove something but simply being. When you constantly seek approval, you give people the power to shape your identity. You allow their perception to become your mirror, but that mirror is often distorted by their insecurities, their judgments, and their own limitations. Depending on it means living a life where your happiness is conditional. But when you stop needing that mirror, you see yourself clearly. You no longer need to fit into their expectations because you've already chosen who you are. Freedom begins with self-acceptance. It's the quiet confidence of knowing your worth without explanation. It's walking into a room without needing to be liked by everyone. It's making decisions based on your values, not on what others might think. When you detach your worth from people's approval, their rejection no longer feels like a wound. It simply becomes a reflection of their perspective, not your value. Validation from others will always feel good, but it should never be the foundation of your identity. Your worth isn't earned through someone's recognition. It's inherent. It's in who you are, not in who others say you are. When you embrace this truth, you start to move differently. You stop over-explaining yourself. You stop shrinking to make others comfortable. You stop doubting your power because someone failed to see it. This kind of freedom is quiet but unshakable. It allows you to stand tall even when no one claps for you. It gives you the strength to walk your own path without begging for permission. It reminds you that your value doesn't decrease when someone else fails to recognize it. True freedom isn't found in being accepted by everyone. It's found in accepting yourself fully, deeply, and unapologetically.